stuff. And the ambassador, I want you there to, they will stand, they start on time. But they should be here by now. Huh? They're not there. No, the broadcast. They go the broadcast there.
Okay. So foreign minister forget some bilaterals where they do. I don't know if we'll get time for camp. PR as well, good in.
No, PR instead of this time, it has to be here.
Yeah.
Let's complete. So just mute. It's fine.
Hello?
I will like. Can you try out this whole link and see if we're like. You get the Facebook link up and you try. Get off the for now.
Oh, okay. Hello?
I will like. Can you try out this whole link and see if we're like.
Right, good.
You get the Facebook link up and you try. Get off the for now.
Oh, okay. Hello?
Can you please forward me the
Can you try out this whole link and see if we're like.
Right, good.
You get the Facebook link up and you try. Get off the for now.
Oh, okay. Hello?
I know you can you please forward me the other one also.
Can you try out this whole link and see if we're like.
Right, good.
You get the Facebook link up and you try. Get off the for now.
Oh, okay. Hello?
I know you can you please forward me the other one also. Okay.
Can you try out this whole link and see if we're like.
Right, good.
You get the Facebook link up and you try. Get off the for now.
Oh, okay. Hello?
I know you can you please forward me the other one also.
They can get back, yeah? Okay. Right, good.
Okay, I'm within a salon and
Oh, okay. Hello?
I know you can you please forward me the
Civic
other one
engagement platform.
They can get back, yeah?
We can to our live from the Salon Permanent Mission in the United Nations in New York.
Right, good.
Within I have to provide the usual within a salon and the UN General Assembly special.
Oh, okay. Hello? They can get back, yeah?
We can't analyze because some of the updates will include what happened at Washington DC as well as we come to New York for can represent Saloni interest in all the updates and we don't happen since then. As usual, we get a very high powered panel. We've been planned for get the permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Iman Khan, but then currently held up in another meeting alongside the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the Honorable Timothy Kabah. We hope they will join me during the course of this discussion, but I go please follow now say we still get a very high powered panel now. On my right, I guess the Honorable Presidential Spokesperson, Mr. Solomon Jamiru. And then on my left, I get the distinguished Presidential Spokesman, Ambassador Dr. Alpha Kano. We also can present some updates to we and share about what His Excellency the President on the do. And as usual, we not say we not do this conversation on the own. We believe, say, the citizens for the part and parcel of the conversation, and we lucky say we get an activist, a feminist activist, we come us alone. We deal with we also come to attend the UN General Assembly, so we will share your own perspective there from the civil society side on waiting on the happen and IC Salon in representation here. We know that person, but Terrier, Koma, Nene, Terrier, we glad for get you here.
Thank you.
So before I go into the details and hand over to the panelists them, as usual, I just want to provide the weekly highlights across the government of Salon. The Minister for Transport, retired Colonel Ambassador Alaji Fande Toure, been joined in colleague transport minister in Zanzibar for who approve the Africa Agenda 2063 blueprint, the master plan for transport business across the continent. Among the team with the member states they agree for get what they call single African air market, where they go use for reduce the transport burden, the travel burden within the continent. So I don't say costs they go high, people they complain. So this now for just tell people, let's say the Minister of Transport attend this meeting in Africa, they will try to put together mechanisms for lower the cost and improve efficiency across the continent. The Ministry for Finance, also with the National Revenue Authority, don't introduce a new mandatory digital excise tax stamp for them manufacturer them, importer and distributor and retailer them for which they call excisable goods like tobacco, wine, other home products there across the country. This new excise tax stamp is in compliance with Section 37 of the 2019 Finance Act, will be provide for let them do this mandatory legal and say, and that this will be specified by the Minister for Finance. The tax they come into effect on the 1st of October this year. Family will say the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, we don't talk plenty about the Kush crisis in the country. So we're glad for updates on say this past week, the Ministry for Social Welfare worked together with the Ministry for Internal Affairs, Ministry for Information and Civic Education, Ministry for Higher and Technical Education, and the Ministry of Health. And we don't launch what we call the Government Interagency Quick Action on Drug and Substance Abuse in the country. This collaboration will allow different government agencies, them, including the one who are responsible for health, law enforcement, education, and social service, for work together for address the various aspects of drug and substance abuse with the experience in the country. Also, the Ministry for Information and Civic Education, combined with the Salon Association of Journalists and other stakeholders, the media over the weekend, and then do what we call the Media Viability and Investment Workshop. This happened at Freetown. The objective of this workshop now for build within the middle agree during the big conference today on how we will increase investment for the media and support the media sector in the country. The workshop being supported by the BBC Media Action and the Media Reform Coordinating Group, MRCG. And the participants will come up from governments, the media, and other civil society. One more very good news will come out of the engagement at the United Nations, now that's the Ministry for Communications, Technology and Innovation. To announce it will send in first batch of technologists them for good benefits from the training and development now the Giga Technology Center in Barcelona, Spain. This announcement will happen at a side event in New York, and this could be implemented by the Directorate for Science, Technology, and Innovation. That now the last updates from just the updates where they happen across government. But today we get a breaking news as well, where the government of Salone just done through the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. They don't release a press statement where I go one for read out to family. I was shown as I don't for read out, my colleague at the ministry will get versions of this press release with some pictures there for share on all the platform there. So the press release dated today, 19 September 2023. It comes as I say from the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. And it says Sierra Leone calls on the United Nations Law of the Sea Court to issue a strong ruling directing states to address the impact of climate change. So today, the 19 September 2023, Republic of Salone represents with legal arguments before the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea within Hamburg, Germany, concerning one request we did before this tribunal for make the issue within and call advisory opinion from group of them small island country them we're vulnerable to the climate crisis. The request we ask this court, the law of the sea courts of the United Nations, for clarify the legal obligations of states under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea for prevent, reduce, and control greenhouse emissions, a form of pollution for the marine environment, as well as for protect and preserve the marine environment in relation to the impacts of climate change. This advisory opinion, if the issued by the tribunal, will be the first step with any international judicial body don't determine, say, the states there get a legally binding obligation for tackle climate change and the impact. Salon are part of the convention. We are a party to the convention. For represent we in front of the courts today, that be the Honorable Deputy Minister of Justice, the Honorable Alpha Sise, and he talk fine on behalf of Salon and other countries there. Honorable Alpha Sise said the climate emergency they pose the greatest threat to the planet and this generation, and therefore it call for make them do more for manage the effects and for do them in a very just way. In one of his quotes, they say what we put in climate-related mitigation is food out of the mouth of our children. What we put in climate-related mitigation is money we do not use to educate our children. What we put in climate mitigation is money we do not use to nurse our sick children back to health. The polluters who have produced most of the greenhouse gas emissions that got us where we are today reap the benefits, while we, the non-polluters, pay and continue to pay the price. Honorable Alpha Sise being joined by Professor Charles Jallo and a very distinguished set of international lawyers there we represent Salon. The press release will come out in the next few minutes, and you will read more information, and you can contact the ministry, the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, their office, or the Ministry of Environment, or get more information on this. So that now all the updates from across government. Now we return to everything United Nations, or let me say the US team. I want to start from the left. This week, the government of Salon, they need plenty sessions, citizen engagement. I want to start by the citizens' engagement and the public engagement of His Excellency. We've been fortunate for staying at the American University. We actually, before we get into that and the press, I see some people that they share posts there online. I see one picture, somebody say how the president gets something like food, how they know they grill come on at UN. I just want to let the people of Salon understand that the president is an internationally acclaimed statesman. He's been accorded the highest honors with Kaya. He did at the United Nations. In fact, now as we speak, he did it. Apart from that, he don't go all across, don't go. In fact, yesterday we see go the mayor of New York City welcome His Excellency as the first African head of state we don't welcome so far for show him around and for build a strong partnership. Then obviously the president don't go and meet plenty other big dignitary them. So Honorable Alpha Khan, I want to just tell family very briefly, let's start on the engagements there na Washington DC. What's happen at Washington? Now go World Bank, when I go African University, when I do the public engagement. Just give family a quick update aside.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister of Education, Minister of Information, Civic. The family, like we said, we can purposely, we can change some half team then we be the camp out where people they decide not be the government team side. Lots of information will not come out here. When they mislead people for believe say the election will get nice, well, not incorrect. Now we don't come, I believe still don't go fine, correct all of that. So we start with Washington because they are the seats of power. And when we reach the first invitation we president get for visit the IMF. So I get an engagement alongside with the Minister of Finance and Minister of Foreign Affairs and some of we within at the delegation. get a meeting with the managing director, the Mrs. Lena Georgia, and the meeting come up fine. IMF confirm and reassure presidency they will continue with the program. Presidency said, Toxi, Stereo, they look to IMF for guidance with the way we will handle the economy. So they're very pleased with that. And I believe, say, the programs the way IMF did not set for Senegal, then program and they will continue. So that will show people and say, no embargo or sanctions, not there for any other thing. Then the other big meeting where President gets, now he own old university, the American University, particularly the school where they call School for International Science, which means almost all of the Americans and world leaders they were there by international service, diplomacy, and international courts and all that. Now they didn't go to school. And President Bill said go to school there. And the school been very happy, welcome. The speech where give, I believe say today, Una said they follow up. I say, look, we see if Nigeria they react to that. The ordinary man in the streets they react to the truths they will come out. In Liberia, I just received this morning, say, Liberia said they really appreciate the president's approach. They even they don't begin compare to we own leaders that we don't pass, like the Kwame Nkrumah, the Yemi Areres, the Paul Kagame's, and the Mandelas of Africa. So for me, I feel very proud that the president will make such a very positive impact. After that, we get an engagement to ceremonies because they say charity begins at home. A lot of people sit down. Some they even feel as they go sit down back because the impression in the given is that the country is in flames. Nobody knows to do nothing, picking another no school. So that I show them say that is not the case. We say, I think they say by English, most of the things they were there, na melodrama. Na melodrama, they say na open call, and scaremongering, in panic. Because we, na Sierra Leone, we will not see this election where people they argue about. They don't get any evidence for sure say something big. Would I explain to them, say, right at the beginning, the parties they will be there in contest for the presidency. 13, 10, 11 of them don't go to president, congratulate them, and none of them will cry foul. The opposition, where the APC, now they no more say they no go to parliament because they believe say after they don't come to the report, which I get first of them. Real election, Nado, na only, I'm not for tell. Nado, they turn the box. Nado, they come to that get waiting. Nado, they sign the paper with the results. They give every party we get agents a copy of that. Nado, they take that one, they send and go. Now the CSL, the Tally Center, and a copy also that they hang out at the polling station, and they still did it. 11,370 polling stations still get the result. So people then come say they know the result. I think say and they you don't tell people that that's in a mischief because how you go there. So we like that. The government is legitimate because ECSL don't follow the law and for run election, the Novia outside at all. If that is the case, we say certain things. So that's so far. Then we engage with people in Washington. We explain the same thing to them because they're all feeling that. So don't begin book the ticket myself for camp for Christmas.
Thank you very much. Raji Dr. Fakano has explained to Fambulet, President gets an extremely successful team at Washington. And I also been see His Excellency in your mama AME was buried at Washington. And so we take the opportunity as well for to pay respect with the Cruz family to in late Mama. So around three across Washington, but all to New York because it's now the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. His Excellency gets an extremely packed schedule. And also not go into all the details. But I want to give family small gist on some of the high level engagement there, especially as Sierra Leone. In a few months, they take receipts now at the United Nations Security Council. Give people a sense of some of the engagement the way His Excellency don't get so far, and we plan for get this week.
Certainly plenty thank you, Mr. Minister, and I also tell the legends, the Honorable Alpha Kano, plenty thank you. So we fumbled then President Julius Malema in lead the Salon delegation to the United Nations. And as Minister don't say, one big thing will happen to Salon, and as Salon for chair the United Nations Security Council and the non-permanent category. Very soon, President Julius Malema will take his seat. The necessary briefings don't take place with the embassy in Nigeria, with mission in New York, but also with staff and the UN. The necessary briefings don't take place, and especially the materials we will need, the information we will need, so that Sierra Leone will get a successful tenure for 2024-2025. So one big thing will not happen now that Salon don't join the United Nations Security Council and the non-permanent category, and we all fulfill proud Sierra Leoneans. This means Salon now will able to lend a perspective to all the discussions where they take place on peace and stability all over the world. For family members say Salon, we don't get 11 years civil war. We come out of the war. We do resettlement. We disarm. We conduct elections. As a matter of fact, President Julius Malema he conducts the first democratic elections in Salon with all members in 1996. Now he initiates the peace process. Now he pulled for the support of and as a young leader, he relinquished power. He left power against civilian elected government, President Amartya Kaba, and he decided for come abroad and cancel part of that journey with Daddy, Honorable Alpha Khan don't talk about that. So indeed, Sierra Leone don't go back to the United Nations Security Council, and a big thing for Salon. We now get an opportunity for lend down perspective to all the discussions on global peace and security, and Salon gets a lot for sure. The second thing, Mr. Minister, what I want to talk about now on education, because in the first term of President Julius Malema, human capital development is the flagship. We find out within the context of human capital development, the government rule out free quality education. That free quality education, they will see the number of picking them with the benefits. Parents are not they pay for tuition fee, they're not they pay for textbooks, they're not they pay for exercise books. We see a lot of things when they happen in we learning outcomes. We see the exponential rise in pass rates, and the girls are in the lead. We see what they happen now with school feeding. We see say Salon does surpass every other country in the sub-region where you look at the rate at which girls begin and they finish primary and secondary education. So within this context, you get who that then called Her Highness Moza Nasser of Qatar, when an ambassador for SDGs. He convened a special program where they call the fourth commemorative event on the International Day for Protect Education from Attack. Her Highness Moza Nasser, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and President Julius Malema, and then three sit down for that high-level conversation. The only reason we're going to make them go invite President Bill at that kind of program are because Salon gets an inspiring example on education. It means that the world don't recognize the things that we would do in education, and it's an inspiring story to the world. And that program, the fourth commemorative event, International Day for Protect Education from Attack. People there I don't talk about so. Her Highness Moza Nasser of Qatar, President Julius Malema, the United Nations Secretary General, they all come together and speak loudly to all the global leaders. Say, the global leaders for create safe spaces for beginning for access education. Then he say, from Yemen to Syria to Ukraine to Sudan, conflicts they happen. And any outside conflict they hinder education. They give the example of the University of Khartoum. Today, that institution cannot be accessed because of the conflict within Sudan. And President Bio was very unapologetic about it. So we all for create space, safe spaces. But also, Mr. Minister, one important thing will also not happen at New York. At the meeting with the Millennium Challenge Corporation,
MCC.
the MCC, yes, famous MCC, who they talk about now, Salome, some other talk say, in fact, Salon don't lost the MCC, then I will be president build the MCC. Well, we fumbled them. President Julius Maada Bio don't meet with the Chief Executive Officer of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, Madam Alice Albright. I will just put them this way. I want for assure with fumble them, they will get a president who committed for push Salon go before. And President Julius Maada Bio talk to the Chief Executive Officer, say we have done everything right for me to get the MCC. We don't vote in 98%. We do not allow people there for hoodwink now and make Salon lost this. The family I want for assure when I say both parties, with President and the Millennium Challenge Corporation Chief Executive, they're all two door. Anybody where they talk so is satanic, is demonic, you don't want anything good for Salon. Because with the MCC money, we will come over $450 million, we will get light and we will solve beaucoup problems in Salon. So the good thing that President Bio don't meet with the MCC chief and they don't agree to work together to continue the MCC partnership. Again, as I say, Mr. Minister, I should say we will continue the program as we go along.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Press Secretary. Come with them, the updates. His Excellency don't meet, he don't give, he give plenty keynote speech here this week. He don't already meet with MCC, but I've been also go through his schedule. The president get over 50 bilateral meetings that we set up with from heads of states, people who want to meet him and talk to him about from Saudi Arabia, Slovenia, all my way day before the Security Council, they don't reach out, say they want to meet His Excellency the President as a global statesman, because they want to make him listen to them and champion the issues them at the UN Security Council. We're very proud. I've also tell family and say, we I always don't say we run the information architecture of the state. We overwhelmed with requests from the top media house in the world for talk to the president and for asking questions about global development within the happen around Africa, how Salon got it right in terms of democratic transition. I remember saying we come up from all them problems, and while all we neighbor them some them get all them problems, Salon don't continue to maintain. We just do an interview to Al Jazeera, we expect for here a few days from now. I don't talk to VOA, president don't talk to BBC. Presidents get requests them from Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, all the big financial times, France 24, CGTN, the presidents, they in very high demand because the world knows here that see, even we say for the BNM, we say don't make some media engagement them, and all we do now for tell the story of Salon. That Salon is back. The country where them been sabi for blood diamond. The country where them been sabi for Ebola, where them been sabi for corruption and backwardness. Don't can now they take in place at the United Nations. They sit down at the Security Council and they become a major player. I want to give a quick chance to we civil society activists. We say there, they follow Salon. They can participate at this 78th session of the United Nations. So I just want to make you share from the civil society perspective how your participation and we say what you safely hope for achieve as a civil society leader we can this United Nations.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister of Information and Civic Education, because it's a very big honor to share this platform with um, very high profile government officials. I feel like I'm just a little fish in the pond, but I'll try, I'll do my best for, honestly and frankly, just give me a views. So basically, Adea, through my organization, what I work with, Children's Rights Innovation Fund. So basically, we provide, we move resources to children and youth activists around the world where they work on various social justice issues. Yeah. And since we come, we get a lot of side events where we don't co-host with partners there, including Population Council, Girl Circle, of course, the Purposeful. So it's been really interesting. We get one yesterday, and me and the minister did it. So and we get a lot of a series of side events where we also the co-host as an organization. Like I say, we focus basically on move resources to young people across Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America. And specifically yesterday, the events that talk about, we look at how we, the partner for kind of empower adolescent mothers, because most often it's a significant population we're very overlooked and, very under-resourced. Also, me day one year, of course, I'm a first time this for Camland State.
Oh, it's your first time.
It's my first time. And it's been a very interesting experience so far, to be honest. The day before yesterday, didn't get the opportunity for join the call at one of I would say one of the biggest rallies, campaigns or protests we don't go on in New York, where being specifically there around climate change. I look at the event and I just feel say it was worth it for me also join, add my voice to them because research don't show we say the United States, of course, are one of the largest, they're one of the largest fossil fuel emissions around the world. So, for see folks, old, young, black, white, we all just, were there, and it was very interesting. Another thing again, where really struck me during that protest was the organization of the protest and how the civilian protection and security be very maximized. For me, it was truly inspiring, to be honest. Like I said, I'm a first time, and I feel like that one day really give me much insights about how protests like they go on a country like this one. And it was interesting to see because you get police officers like, being all around like when just say like, then divert the cars, the buses to the other wood just for honor, just for basically honor the call of civilians. And I think it's interesting and for see how everything pan out. Yeah. And that it, as a media person, for see the power of freedom of expression, especially when people feel so desperate for get the government's attention on a very critical issue such as climate change. It was really a lot of people being, feel free to say a lot of stuff and all. So yeah, that's just one experience where I find very interesting. And as a patriot and somebody where so much like Sam, yeah. I really look forward for CC as a country we're able to adapt systems and procedures we're fine. My mama would always tell me say It's not bad for Falamaka Taposim. For Falamaka Taposim, but good. It's very good. You know, honestly, I like the conversation where they get around certain things, domestically. I follow the Minister of Information, one in strong argument around the US democracy and what they get for tell me, especially around, the controversy. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of things. But I think it's a very valid case for CISE as a country. We approach issues around democracy with a more critical mindset. Forget an argument where say, well, even the US democracy is flawed, get your own excesses. For me, I feel like argument like that one day, they make we feel like for say we're not really what's up. And also for giving another perspective for like challenge yourself for become better. Because even being here, there are a lot of things I don't actually observe from your own personal point of view where I'm not actually cool with. But I feel like one thing where I admire is how the system is on. First of all, the day before yesterday, I go buy water. Then big bottle water, then 2. Then tell me say na $6 for 1. We don't calculate at $12. Only for the salesperson tell me say total at 15 was 15. And I was arguing with him like the guy was some Mexican, so if they kind of struggle small for expressing himself. And then like I was like I don't calculate, it's $12. And then the other person, the other colleague on the other side, like just sent a word say, oh, that's inclusive of tax. I was like, really? But again, it's clear. This is a system where you respect tax and then the use tax, and that's one of the the fundamental driving power for develop the country. So I feel like as a country, as a patriot, I mean, we all want for this salon. Me, I want, I know they look forward for actually live out of salon, to be honest, as long as salon not a threat to my existence. You understand? But it also means say citizens like me, fulfill for start for believe like one for believe in the system. We want to get faith in the system, knowing that no matter almost tax, then same for make a pay. Of course, citizens say Adonians pay tax, and we pay some tax that we pay. We not even know that tax we pay, but we actually do pay tax. So for me, I want to see say, if we do that kind of thing and they, citizens for able forget trust, say indeed the government can for put modalities in place when it comes to healthcare. I don't say if I they do if I go and come out to hospital, I should have access to quality, to substance health. And this one, I also think that they will inspire a lot of other potentials where, we get in country where they aspire for left the country, and also those other people were there abroad, we just feel say salon better, So for me, this is not actually an opportunity for like you don't like, high profile government officials, you rightly say, following the brand salon, but also what's really important is how we adapt positive systems for create we own institutions, stronger institutions, and one way to be very sustainable, because at the end of the day, this government wants to be remembered for something. And for me, I think, it's something, this government for actually think about around what is going to be your legacy, like a sustainable legacy, one way, not even a political regime would go collapse.
Thank you very much. This is why, as an activist myself, I like to forget an activist at the panel, because I feel you bring in a perspective, and so not just people like we government we talk to now, while you also get the views of ordinary Sierra Leoneans who they do extraordinary. I want to just point out 2 things we mentioned. One is the culture of protest. Honorable Alpha Kano, remember they asked President Bill this about protest na American University, and His Excellency say protest na part and parcel of democracy. This is a man we believe in that. He actually let people disagree with him. Honorable member say we are activists. I disagree with President Bill publicly many times. I call her out and take the government of Salon to court. I push back, but we do it within the confines of the law. We organize protests there, including we take over a courthouse and freedom where you self be involved in for go for talk. President Bill said, he listened to me already. He said, because of that, remember we go from Musia, he said, this man not even know say, now in argument they will make a radio, contribute for like change my mind. So protests are an integral part of democracy, which you don't see in New York. Now that this week, I've been talked to somebody yesterday where they work with the police department. I am say, they get alert every time police gets clearance for any protest. Then they inform the citizens and say that particular area don't give permits they will, and they go protest. So they know that apply for the protest. They know see the person want protest about. Then they know that the terms of that protest. So that when they happen, police provide the protection. People will do the alert. So with 190 plus government in there, every country around the world, the citizens do not let their government for one reason or the other. Every country around the world. So waiting they happen is hundreds and hundreds of protests that happen this week. But at the end of it, they are orderly, structured, not to somebody sitting in another country. They call people, they say them who cause carnage, many who burn persons, many who cause trouble. So I think one of the things that we are glad we point out who can see that they will say, what's that salon? You mentioned taxation. As we tax people in our salon, taxes, yes, we all taxes. But you see the American system, that's a parcel of the system. So I really like we point out, say, we need for learn positive things there, including on the civic education part. That's how the real ministry come in. For let people understand. Let people talk to people that will come to New York here or organize this platform. We people then can let them understand what's in that. Let them not go by fake news. Oh, but they go to ICC, they go so we get all them and so I give a chance to the two distinguished panelists here as well. We can have. Uncle Alpha, I want you. Okay, so therefore, so this is now for a chance for just waiting with the hope now for the rest of the week. Waiting with the hope for achieve for Salute the rest of the week.
Like I said, one of the reasons we President Bill come, one for there, they come say thank you to those people that vote for Sarah. 188 countries out of 192 for their be member of the Security Council. The second one, for there, you also use the opportunity to make the real story about what happened 24 June 2023. People will tell those stories. This time they come here with the principle within and called our law. That means hear me on side. Nobody know for condemn you when you side. What did happen? This is what happened. The statement, the press statement, and the phone. And not the story yet. Now we don't carry the story. Me, I don't see coming back by the time they left here. So together we go. Yes. Because people don't begin that. So the NCC itself, as the colleague said, they own not money for President Bill. Not going to know for which self if you're not selling for the council. Because you want for them down the road, from there, then take pass through Kamalo, you reach Kamagwe. How do they not do it? We need money for that. Half a billion. Now they don't put for that. You need for there, they make sure say, last year, let's lights, we don't come out from Makini, Ekote, they don't reach, then we don't pass Cameroon, the cable, it's going to Cameroon. And from there, it will extend into Gambia and into Guinea. Make them done. Now, money we need for that. We don't get that. The power of freedom, now, like power we use, we lend the station, we rent them from time to time, they give us them. But even if we ever pay them $10 million, if you get half a billion, 500 million, you're going to pay that $10 million, and then people in Africa realize why you want for make them stop that? Because all of these protests, every time we are hearing young people in the city, will not go, will they stop? In fact, the NCC, they for cancel. Why? Why you go put bread and the people they want? You don't get Gary for put aside. So the thing that we expect is that all of them, yes, we're not correct. I don't call a lie because it's just misinformation. Information and lie are different. So misinformation for let people they just see it in a bad way. That could done by them special. So, and also the visit we do yesterday to the city council, the mayor, city parlor. He revealed a lot of things. One, first of all, the mayor of Tennessee in America, yes, he said, today glad for seeing cousin. Because they all look like Nigerian. And one of the people will say that Nigerian is They say, and there are 4 of them, major cities, we are mayors with Nigerian. They say, and now they want to link up. How? To make the able to get exchange, people exchanges. American students will go America. And Sierra Leone, other man in Uganda, we will share issues within trade. We want to know within the main exports of Sierra Leone, which side we want to develop, how we could do the agriculture, and all that. I don't set up a panel for an economic forum. Before we go, because the Minister of Finance not be there yesterday. Minister of Health not be there yesterday. So they're setting up another one to make we see which are the takeaways to take from there. So this trip, like I always say, the play is stripes to catch a mackerel. That is, we want to catch fish. Now, below is the side. We don't send below the fish there for can share to people. To let people know it's toxic. Don't waste money. Like if we don't come here, how business will come as how will we get the FCC? So there are many people that FCC will not have bill. We not come as a man. If we get them. Because they must make that road from peaceful jobs to Havana. So thank you very much.
Wow. See, we make what they call the bad legend, with the bad talk. I think everybody will understand. They will break it down on listen the real implications. It's not just talk, also political thing like how the activist says that some things for the beyond politics. When it comes to Saloni, one of the principles that we are there about America, the idea say politics, domestic disagreement or stop in the borders. When Americans they left America, they are one people. When American in town, they go in the other country, they are one people. In fact, the American tradition is they only criticize the leader outside of the country. That's the American tradition. If the president don't come, you go say go France, you go do something, wait till he don't come. But Americans know you can say, oh no, monarch disagree, embarrass the president, only consider. This week, let's say in big speech at the UN Wednesday, I see a news report, they say, oh, protest this, I don't have any protest report. I want to just speak to the arrangement that we did. What do you expect from that president's speech and interaction with the salon comments? Then we'll take, I think, we have one question or two to that room, and then maybe some question and we'll wrap up quickly.
Yeah. So the very important minister also mentioned the wise with the Washington. His Excellency the President also organized the town hall. That was an opportunity for speak to many Sierra Leoneans as well as Americans, business people, people in different walks of life. And indeed, His Excellency the President led to fantastic engagement with the people in the. And he also launched a link to family in the diaspora. They don't make it clear as president is quite limited and can offer. But certainly as everywhere we are, through entrepreneurship schemes, we can look at what we can do for through different we can do for making a salon. We could see how we can structure their partnership and so that was indeed a very fantastic meeting. When President Julius Maada will make a national statement tomorrow, as always, ever disappoint Serbians when he's at the world stage. Tomorrow, as minister, you don't say, and legendary Honorable Abakan don't say. He will talk about different things the way touch and concern lives and livelihoods in a salon, but also different things we touch and concern global peace and security and democracy and human rights. Because President Julius Maada Bio is recognized globally for many things. They respect until as champion for foundational learning. The things they hold on to for picking their back home, it continues to be an inspiring example here and other parts of the world. They also respect her because of the dividends and the gains we will make in peace and security. Minister, you remember say recently President Julius Maada as chair of the G7 plus countries, he made a statement at the Sustainable Development Goals Forum. And it talks say Agenda 2030 is just around the corner. If we therefore achieve that, he don't propose three things on behalf of the G7. One is peace and security and stability for the nation. Two, they say we as global leaders for the resilience. And three, a call for multinational cooperation. So President Julius Maada Bio, as chair of the G7 plus countries, don't deliver that statement. So we fumble them as we did now at the high level week of the United Nations General Assembly. President Bio will talk tomorrow. He will talk about education, the gains we don't make in a salon. He will talk about how we don't reduce maternal mortality by 60%. But importantly, now that Salon at the United Nations Security Council at the non-permanent category, President Julius Maada Bio will also talk about the role which Salon will play as a Security Council member in the non-permanent category and the stories they will get for share with the rest of the world.
Second section, I cost you because I realize say we get for one, but we get a platform normally we can ask people them for same questions and then say plenty questions. So I want for giving a chance for you can ask them all together. But we try for both the question was quick. We boil at the end of the room with we say get a quick question. So I'll give you a chance for go ahead and ask the question and then I'll read through all the questions. Then we'll go around whatever try for go around this up quickly. Okay, we have set up. Name, you know, we can name Sabi name.
Okay, so Ibrahim today,
Uh-huh.
normally asking Australia and we at the moment, and this is something we do for us as a union, seeing the order on the 40s right now, which is the player they start from, where we get this a big opportunity for we as a Sierra Leone to get this opportunity. I just want to shift the question from the waiting the ground right now regarding as a Sierra Leone, we don't stay in Australia for over 20 years. And we for that for a minister today because we don't do that for a long time. We get about over 5,000 or 6,000 Sierra Leone a day. We don't stay in Australia, but we don't lack that gap between Sierra Leone and Australia.
Okay.
Waiting this government able to
Okay.
on how we can able to bridge that gap. And second, President Bio in 5 goals.
Normally, for the press conference, regularly ask 2 questions. I want one.
I'll stay with that one day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that I can try to control the time and not say there from the Alango. Thank you so much. I'm glad to pursue you and I'm not saying that active here. That's all you do. Questions and quickly read through them. This survey will answer some of them. Within the current position of the US regarding the just concluded election, why the government used a very huge amount of delegation for hunger, considering current economic crisis in the country, within the government do for tackle drug abuse. I feel like some of them questions I don't answer them. Importing of drugs and rehabilitation for addicts. This I don't answer now 4 weeks in a row. Within the government they do for tackle structural violence against women at all levels. Amidst the economic crisis the country they face with, waiting the government they do for pushing the impact on the most vulnerable and marginalized. Within the now why the health system is so deployable and we still not enjoy human rights to clean environment, why we have seen so many government appointments, even when we know say government revenues are not forthcoming, why have we elections are over. Within the government they do now for bring about economic stability and narrow the current political gap. If we can shed light on any collaboration at ONGA surrounding decentralized renewable energy solutions, especially for rural communities. The wake of Saloon submission at the Court of the Sea, which just happened today, where I read, what additional environmental initiatives will they discuss at ONGA that we can tap into, and whether any funding mechanism that we don't discuss at ONGA for assist Sierra Leoneans in reforestation efforts and land management. I'll tell all my way submitting a question and thank you. Land answer the one that we will respond to in the capacity as Minister for Information. The official government delegation to the UN are one of the smallest in the entire history of Sierra Leone. Points out to a journalist who asked this question. The president lead a delegation of about 24. 10 of them people again at presidents and staff. Those are non-negotiable. The president, they bring staff down. Presidents need people the way they manage and where they handle, where they take care of all the things, because as a state that now, and then you get a technical team, including government ministers, the foreign minister, people that we all the on panels and presenting. Some of we and members of parliament, including the honorable current leader of the APC in parliament, the honorable Mohamed Bangoa, and they part of that delegation. Some ministers and they also in New York and Washington, we come on the largesse of international partners. Some ministries and ministers were invited by the UN and other multilateral bodies for come and present and talk and then pay for it. So the cost to the government of Salone are about 24. We don't see the past, the presidential delegation may be up to 200. So I'll let family know, say anybody tell you see the delegation big, that's not true. It's not a very controlled delegation, and I know say the president may really care about that. On waiting the government they do economically for stabilize the country, we don't talk a lot about their measures and we don't get the Ministry of Finance, but I will show you say this nine the president care about more than any other thing. And all the measures that they put in place, including the updates of taxation system, updating it, the investments, even the tariff question. Somebody asked about how they cushion the effects on the most vulnerable. President don't instruct we say, and the law say, even when we increase tariff or catch up with, by the way, the dollar exchange rate, the tariff increase is not an increase in real terms, because we pay the people who buy the energy from, we pay them in dollars. But when the loans depreciate, will not change. So the government they lost plenty money. The goal and for law just increase so that we will meet up, let the exchange rate say equalize. But even that, President Bido instructs say the poorest of the poor for pay less, and we are still the country where they pay some of the least amount on energy anywhere in Africa and the world. Another thing I want to say, that many questions on the environment, which we do. The Minister of Environment are one of the technical people over there. He did a part of all the climate sessions. They don't put out some press release and the Honorable Jiwa Abdullah about some of the concrete mechanisms that we start to take part for move energy agenda forward and the environment agenda forward. It also informed me, say, will they make a full delegation for the upcoming COP? Will they happen late November and early December? So Saloga will be fully represented. Honorable Alfaka, I know say we're out of time, but there are some questions as well. I don't know if you get one quick 2 minutes, maybe. And then
the question of why government they appoint more people that want to know. When I hear the Bible say many hands make light work. So you get big load for truth. Get plenty people for total. So President want to be serious about delivering on the 5 agenda items. The one they were able to deliver at that point. He not did it for poor the country money. He did it for make sure say anybody will get job. If one sector where they put on it done. So for me, we tell people themselves they can say they can vote this one. Now vote they vote this poverty for fit and come out myself. So we vote them. And then of course you don't talk about the forestation. I want for add they say we're so serious about this that with the appointment of Honorable Dr. Kande Yomkela as the chairman for the climate change, food security, and energy, that don't give you small, big scope, because Naman Webi don't represent the whole world by this United Nations as the energy czar. So you know all the people they really contact, you know the climate people there. So right now, say, you know they're not in meeting because it's busy. They go engage people, how we go able for reduce the dependency on forestation. So, as I can say, well, of course, delegation, you don't talk about that. Yes, the presidential delegation is small, really small. Every other minister we can have, if you get work for the if get invited by an organization where they come in, if they come, they get their own budget. Every year when they put budget, there is an item where they put, let's say, overseas travel. Now they didn't go pool for pay for camp. It's budgeted for, not to extra budgetary expenditure and they go back, and not to State House, they support them. So all man they support itself when they can so, and it is all legitimate, legal, according to our own laws. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes.
Plenty, thank you. Mr. Minister, on the American position on the elections, Mr. Salon, government gets an advised position. We believe, say, the American government then will be the best person to talk about the American position on the elections. But as a government and as the people of Salon, the election indeed has been declared the most peaceful in the electoral history of Sierra Leone. Free, fair, credible. We get major international bodies, including ECOWAS, African Union, Commonwealth, will all be done validate the elections. And even the outgone ambassador, remember, say, Rima said, we don't talk and say, as far as the presidency of Sierra Leone concerned, there is no contestation. And as a matter of fact, even encourage the opposition to go back to parliament. As a government, if we get residual issues or any substantive issues around the OIR, we will continue to engage with diplomatic and bilateral channels. Secondly, Mr. Minister, on the diaspora, my brother, it's good to know that Sierra Leoneans, there over 5,000 in Australia, and I believe the Sierra Leoneans spread all over the world. President Bio in message to we know that we know so we are limited in terms of the diplomatic footprints. Also, we get missions, embassies all over the world. But what in President Julius Maada Bio they say that attempt don't kind of for level structure the partnership between we within a Salon and diaspora community. So we are open to ideas. If you have ideas on maybe you don't identify areas where you think say the diaspora community could be of value, let's link up, let's structure that partnership. And as ministers here together with the presidential spokesman, we could also lend that support to that initiative and see how we can structure them so that the diaspora community could also be very relevant as far as development is concerned back home.
Thank you very much, Honorable Press Secretary. I want to give the activists the final word. Just 1 minute quickly so we'll wrap up. What do you look forward to this week, the rest of the week? And yeah.
So I think I'm impressed about we place at the UN, and for me I look forward for see how we go able to consolidate because we get of course the 17 the sustainable development goals, so I want to see how we can able for consolidate support for ensure say we also prioritize other parts of the sustainable goals we bind with for achieve that kind of sustainable development, especially around of course health. There are some improvements we're making, of course, but I still feel say as a country there's more we can do for ensure say even around maternal child health care, maternal health care and child health care. There's so basically I want for see say we able for like reflect on the progress we don't make on the sustainable development goal and see how we can improve on on the lapses basically and on the challenges, especially like I say health, even when it comes to employment and other stuff. But thank you for this.
Did you look forward for enjoying New York? What's he one do most do it? We be planning for doing in New York.
I know it's not like so based I just like explore, which I started exploring.
Okay.
Been to 1 or 2 places. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, family and us one for telling all plenty thank you for wanna join we for this very special edition of we press conference and citizens engagement. We come off from the Ministry of Information and Civic Education every week on Tuesday without fail We try for bring una every solid updates and bring una both governments and civil society for talk to we. Let we continue the conversation. As I always say, and you get government. You the Sierra Union, and you get government. I want to tell plenty thank you to all we partners them, AYV, SLBC, Rise Radio, 98.1, and all the other community radio stations across every single district now. Salon we carry we live as well this week. We want to tell you plenty thank you on behalf of the government and people of Salon. And as I can always say, let we continue for talk. Radio Bankasuka. That's the time you radio that day. All right, okay, well, thank you.